the moment Golden Monkey thrust its staff through Sigma's face. Strangely, the mutant god's vision remained clear. It could see Golden Monkey's unchanging eyes as the staff struck it down, sending its massive body crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, Golden Monkey hovered in the air, observing carefully to see if the deity was truly dead. The grotesque mess below was torn apart like a tattered, ugly cloth, making it impossible to distinguish head from tail. Only when Sigma's aura faded did Golden Monkey cautiously land. Its body was covered in wounds, its mouth gasping for breath in utter exhaustion. From the beginning, this was an unfair fight. If Sigma hadn't already been battered by the Emperor Crocodile, Golden Monkey might never have had a chance. After all, a mere little beast had just ended the life of a divine mutant. It should have been celebrating, howling in triumph. But Golden Monkey had no strength left. It only intended to stand there for a few seconds to catch its breath before leaving. But suddenly, a mouthful of blood burst from its lips. At the same time, a sharp swish rang clearly in its ears. Its gaze flicked downward. Its entire body was frozen. Only blood continued to trickle out. Moments later, the pain finally registered, and its body slowly tilted forward. Golden Monkey's eyes were filled with shock. A long, sharp spear had pierced straight through its chest, blood flowing freely from the wound. Schlick! Where had this thing come from? How had it appeared without Golden Monkey noticing? The answer came in a trembling voice. Not only him, even you, were beyond my expectations. One of Sigma's fingers had elongated into a spear, piercing straight through Golden Monkey's chest. The god struggled to push itself up. Its movements were slow, painstaking, but with even the slightest tremor, Golden Monkey's chest felt as if it would rip apart. Sigma was using the last of its strength to finish the job. Because if it let this creature grow any further, it would become a true threat. Today, it had to die. Amidst the wreckage of Sigma's shattered face, a single wide, unblinking eye locked onto Golden Monkey. No mouth. The voice did not come from its lips, it echoed from its chest. Sigma wasn't dead. Its fading aura had been a trick all along. No wonder everything had seemed too easy. This so-called god of creation was devious to the extreme. Too exhausted to fight head-on, it had planned this fatal counterattack from the start. Golden Monkey realized the trap too late. Furious beyond reason, it ignored the searing pain in its chest and grasped the staff with both hands, preparing to channel all its strength into a single, desperate counter. Its teeth clenched so hard they could crack. But Sigma wasn't about to let it escape. With a guttural roar, the god wrenched its arm violently, flinging Golden Monkey into the air like a rag doll. You're not going anywhere! The motion sent its limp body slamming into the jagged white fangs that Sigma had conjured earlier. Crash! 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 Golden Monkey was dragged in a brutal arc, its body battered and tossed like a spinning compass needle. It had no strength left to resist. Wherever Sigma threw it, its battered golden form was sent flying, colliding again and again with the bone spikes. The hole in its chest widened with every impact. The pain was so overwhelming that tears welled in Golden Monkey's eyes, tears of agony, frustration, and rage. It could do nothing to its enemy. Was this how it would end? No. It could not give up. Not while its master's gift, the unbreakable staff, remained in its hands. That staff carried countless unfinished promises. It still had things to do. Summoning the last dregs of its strength, Golden Monkey gripped the staff tightly and slammed it down. Crack! Severing the cursed weapon impaling its chest. As the shard shattered, it clenched its fists around the staff, eyes burning with renewed fury. Then, without hesitation, it lunged. Blood gushed freely from its wounds with each movement. Its roar split the air. Sigma hesitated for a fraction of a second. It hadn't expected this. A mortally wounded beast still charging forward, still retaliating. And at a terrifying speed. The staff crashed towards Sigma's face once more. With a last-second twist, the god barely managed to shift its lone, exposed eye out of the weapon's path, avoiding a fatal strike. Its gaze snapped back to Golden Monkey. That single, monstrous eye widening in a way it never had before. Sigma had faced countless enemies in its existence. But never, not once, had it seen something like this. At this point, even Sigma had to admit, this monkey had true spirit. If I could, I would want all my subordinates to be like you. A fleeting glimmer of admiration flashed through his mind. But it was short-lived. Before Sigma could react, his entire vision was swallowed by a flurry of incoming attacks. A single staff in Golden Monkey's hands transformed into a relentless storm of strikes. Whoosh! 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 Each sound was a strike landing. Each strike was a crushing blow to Sigma's body. He curled up, trying to evade. But there was nowhere to run. The staff struck his arms, his legs, his torso. Blood splattered with every impact. His lone, exposed eye darted frantically, searching for an escape. It was clear now, this was his core. This eye was him. If he could not protect it, he was doomed. But there was no way to hide it forever. His body was breaking apart. Even with his strength restored to 30%, he couldn't avoid this storm of attacks. No! I refuse! Sigma wasn't willing to accept this outcome. From the severed stump of his arm, a sickening hiss echoed. SHHHH. The wound split open. Then, bursting forth from the mangled flesh, a massive, spiraling drill of pale bone shot out. It gleamed razor-sharp. A monstrous weapon designed to shred whatever stood in its way. The god lunged, bringing the drill directly toward Golden Monkey's face. Too close. There was no room to dodge. Golden Monkey had only one option. It raised its staff to block. A direct clash between two unstoppable forces. Crack! The sound was deafening. The unbreakable staff, shattered, split clean in half. Golden Monkey's world seemed to freeze. And then, pain. Blinding, searing agony as the drill dug into its body. The monkey didn't even have the breath to scream. It was exhausted. And more importantly, its only weapon was gone. Sigma's laughter exploded across the battlefield. Ha! Finally! He threw himself forward, eager to end it. 1, 2, 3 more stabs. He would skewer this damn monkey until it stopped moving for good. But he had forgotten. Golden Monkey was never unarmed. A flash of golden light. Its claws. Something far beyond the natural weapons of its kin. The moment Sigma lunged, those claws tore straight into his face. Golden Monkey slashed. And slashed. And slashed. Blood sprayed in all directions. It didn't care that Sigma's face was lined with deadly barbs. Didn't care that every strike was shredding its own hands in return. It did not stop. Smack! One strike. Smack! Another. Each one harder, faster, more savage than the last. Like it had completely forgotten its own pain. Then, with a guttural snarl, it lunged, jaws wide, aimed directly for that cursed, darting eye. But at the last second, missed. Of course. Sigma had protected it above all else. The god roared in fury. Golden Monkey didn't hesitate. It leapt. narrowly avoiding Sigma's retaliatory swipe. It flipped in midair and came crashing down onto his chest. Its feet dug in deep, planting themselves firmly in his flesh. Then, with everything it had left, Golden Monkey clawed straight down Sigma's face. Deep, gashing wounds. Flesh tore. The god screamed. He had to twist his body, dodging at the last second. But in exchange, his chest and neck were ripped open. "Damn you!" Sigma roared in fury, swinging wildly to swat Golden Monkey away. But once again, it was too late. A golden blur flashed. In the blink of an eye, the monkey had shifted positions again. This time, it was behind him. Before Sigma could react, another deep claw mark tore across his back, spraying blood in every direction. Golden Monkey's attacks were relentless, blindingly fast and surgically precise. Sigma could do nothing. And then, the final strike. Golden Monkey abandoned evasive maneuvers, instead dropping directly onto Sigma's back. It wedged itself into the dip between his shoulder blades. And then, its claws shot out from the front of his chest. Sigma screamed. "Damn you! Damn you!" He thrashed like a mad beast. Yet, he didn't try to shake Golden Monkey off. No. Instead, a faint blue glow flickered across his body. An eerie aura of energy pulsed through his darkened skin, coating his body. His horns, large and small, trembled. And then, boom! An explosion erupted from Sigma's core. A shockwave, centered on him. A forceful detonation that sent out a ring of pure destruction. The air itself cracked from the pressure. Lightning arced wildly, snapping and sparking. Stone shattered. Space itself seemed to be compressed by the sheer force. And at point-blank range, Golden Monkey was caught directly in the blast. Flung backward like a ragdoll. No way to stop. No way to grip onto anything. It was thrown through the air, back first, and then, slam, crashing into the earth hard enough to crater the ground. The stake embedded in its chest shifted. The motion wrenched it deeper. Blood gushed from the wound, flooding out of its mouth in thick streams. Golden Monkey gasped. Choked. Vision blurred. Sigma staggered, panting. That attack had drained him. The use of spiritual energy in such raw force devoured his stamina. Yet, he was still standing. And so, the battle was not over. Neither was Golden Monkey. It stood, shaky, breaths ragged, every limb trembling under its own weight. Yet, it stood. It refused to fall. Even now, Sigma narrowed his eye. This monkey. This thing. Was it not afraid of death? No. It embraced it. No matter how long this fight lasts, I will not fall, even through the choking of its own blood. Golden Monkey declared its defiance. Sigma inhaled deeply. Then, he raised a hand and uttered words that made no sense. Strange, guttural chants. At first, just two faint syllables stood out. Then swung. And then, the ground trembled. Suddenly, the battlefield warped. Sinkholes tore through the landscape. The earth itself shifted. The terrain collapsed into something unrecognizable. And yet, Golden Monkey's spot remained untouched. Everything else, a gaping pit of red, like the gaping maw of a beast lined with razor-sharp fangs. Sigma had reshaped the land itself. A trap, a death cage, a devouring abyss. And Golden Monkey stood at its center. A battlefield meant to consume entire armies. Sigma. He had held this forbidden technique back even against the colossal crocodile. Yet now, be proud, monkey, because your death will be the most glorious of all. It was no bluff. Pure spiritual energy radiated from Sigma's very being. This was no simple trap of spikes or stakes. This was a divine execution. Die. Sigma clenched his fist. The entire battlefield contracted. The spikes twisted, bent inward. A perfect sphere. Every razor edge pointed inward. A perfect, inescapable prison. It would shred Golden Monkey apart. No way out. No escape. And then, boom! A thunderous impact from behind Sigma. Two powerful auras. Overwhelming. Terrifying. A wild boar. And a badger. Two familiar beasts. Charging at full force. What? Sigma spun. But it was too late. He had no time to see what hit him. The earth rumbled. The ground bucked. A storm of dust and debris erupted into the sky. And once more, the three stood together, shoulder to shoulder. The battle was far from over.